She wasn't just demanding entry, she was screeching like the pool owed her a lifetime of backstrokes. Her manicured nails rattling the gate as if it were her personal piggy bank. And right there, under the relentless suburban sun, with neighbors' phones already rolling, Brenda thought she had me cornered, until the truth hit her like a cannonball splash she never saw coming. In the sleepy cul-de-sac of Willow Creek Estates, where every lawn was mowed to military precision and mailboxes gleamed like they were auditioning for a catalog, life was supposed to be picture perfect. But scratch the surface, and you'd find the air thick with unspoken rules. The kind enforced by clipboard-wielding busybodies who turned community standards into a full-time sport. I was Alex Thompson, the guy who'd inherited the old family home from my grandfather, a modest ranch-style place with a backyard pool that had seen better days but held more heart than any of those McMansion additions down the block. Gramps had built that pool himself back in the 70s. Before the HOA even existed. Shoveling dirt and mixing concrete with calluses that told stories of harder times. It wasn't fancy, no infinity edges or LED lights, just a rectangle of cool blue water where I'd learned to swim. Where family barbecues turned into all-night laughs. And where Gramps' ghost still lingered in the faint echo of his gravelly voice saying, "This here's ours. Kid. Don't let nobody tell you different." I'd moved back after a stint in the city, craving that quiet. But whispers started almost immediately. Neighbors murmured I was some reclusive hoarder, hiding junk behind my fences. Probably dodging taxes or worse. It was all bullshit. Of course, started by one nosy soul who'd peeked over during a trash day mix-up, but in a place like this, rumors spread faster than crabgrass. I kept my head down, fixed up the house bit by bit, and ignored the side-eye glances at block parties I skipped. Inside, though, I was watching, cataloging every snide comment, every pointed stare. Patience wasn't weakness, it was my edge. Brenda Hargrove was the HOA president, the self-anointed guardian of order and harmony, with her pearl necklace always perfectly aligned and a smile that could curdle milk. She glided through the neighborhood like a shark in khakis, her heels clicking on sidewalks as she noted infractions with the glee of a kid collecting trading cards. Oh, honey, she'd coo at meetings, her voice dripping with faux southern charm despite being born in Ohio. We're all in this together, for the greater good. But behind that facade was a machine, rules enforced without mercy. Fines slapped on for the tiniest slip-ups. Like a flagpole an inch too tall or holiday lights up a day past deadline. She wasn't just controlling yards, she was puppeteering opinions. Whispering to compliant board members about problem residents until the whole street parroted her gospel. When she first set her sights on my pool, it started innocently enough, or so she made it seem. One sweltering afternoon, she sauntered up to my fence, iced tea in hand, peering over like she was appraising a garage sale find. "Alex. Darlin'," she drawled, fanning herself dramatically. "That pool of yours looks mighty inviting. You know, the community could really benefit from shared access. Think of the kids. It'd boost our property values sky high." I was lounging on a deck chair, flipping through an old photo album of Gramps. And I looked up slow, meeting her eyes with a neutral nod. "Appreciate the thought, Brenda. But it's family property. Not up for sharing." Her smile twitched. Just a hair. But she recovered quick. "Well, bless your heart. But the bylaws say amenities like that fall under communal oversight. We'll chat more at the next meeting." She walked away with that sway, like she'd already won. But I caught the flicker in her eye, the first hint of the storm brewing. That night, I dusted off Gramps' old deed, the one that grandfathered the lot out of any HOA nonsense, and filed it away with my growing stack of just-in-case papers. The whispers turned to outright slander soon after. At the monthly HOA gathering in the community center, a bland room with fluorescent lights buzzing like angry bees, Brenda held court from the podium. Her voice amplified to fill every corner. "Folks, we've got to address the elephant in the room," she said, pausing for dramatic effect. Her eyes scanning the crowd like a preacher spotting sinners. Certain residents are hoarding resources, turning private luxuries into barriers against unity. Take that overgrown pool on Elm Street, it's a safety hazard. Probably breeding mosquitoes. And denying our children wholesome fun. We can't let selfishness erode our standards. The room murmured agreement. A few heads turning my way where I sat in the back. Arms crossed. Saying nothing. I could have jumped up. Waved the deed. But nah, that would have been too easy. Let her dig her hole deeper. By morning, the neighborhood Facebook group was ablaze. "Alex Thompson's hiding something shady back there," one post read. "Heard it's a junk pit, typical loner behavior," another chimed. I scrolled through. Sipping coffee. Noting usernames and timestamps. Brenda's account liked every damning comment. Her profile pic beaming that pearl-toothed grin. Then the notices started, official-looking letters in my mailbox. Citing violations like unauthorized water features and failure to submit for inspection. Per Section 4.2 of the Covenants, one read. All pools must comply with community guidelines or face fines up to $500 daily. I chuckled darkly. Filing them away, each one a gift. Really? Wrapped in her overreach. When I ran into her at the grocery store, she cornered me by the produce, whispering loud enough for the cashier to hear. "Alex. Sugar. Why fight progress? Open that gate. And we'll forget the fines." I picked up an apple. Bit into it slow. "Progress? Or just your ego trip?" "Brenda?" Her eyes narrowed. But she laughed it off. "Oh. You're funny. But rules are rules, for everyone's sake." The pressure cranked up like a bad thriller plot. Brenda rallied her minions, two bored lackeys. Bob and Susan. Both retired accountants with nothing better to do than nitpick paint colors. They showed up unannounced one Saturday. Tape measures in hand. Claiming an emergency audit for boundary lines. "The board's concerned your fence encroaches on communal easement," Bob droned, adjusting his glasses while Susan snapped photos like a paparazzo. I stepped out front, blocking the path to the backyard. "Easement? That's news to me, in the county records." Brenda hovered behind them. Arms folded. Her confidence radiating like cheap perfume. "Don't make this hard. Alex. We're here to help maintain values. Imagine if that pool caused a flood, liability nightmare." I leaned against the gate. Casual as hell. Help? Or harass? 'Cause last I checked, my deed says this land's exempt. But go on. Measure away, from your side. They fumbled, muttering about protocols, while neighbors pretended to water plants nearby. Ears perked. Brenda's face reddened. But she played it cool. "You'll regret this isolationist attitude. The community talks. You know." "Oh." I knew. The rumors had escalated to me being a recluse with dark secrets, whispers about why a single guy like me guarded that pool so fiercely. Maybe drugs. Maybe worse. It stung. Sure. But I turned it into fuel. Installing discreet cameras around the perimeter, not the flashy kind, but ones that captured every angle in HD. Feeding to a cloud server. Fines piled up next, envelopes stuffed with bogus charges for non-compliance, escalating to thousands. "Pay up or face liens," one threatened. At a follow-up meeting, Brenda read my delinquencies aloud, her voice laced with mock sympathy. Poor Alex, let's hope he sees reason before it's too late. The crowd shifted uncomfortably, a few chuckling nervously. But I sat silent, letting her monologue expose the absurdity. Reason? Like your rule against pink flamingos because they disrupt harmony? I finally said, voice low but cutting. The room tittered, first crack in her armor. She flushed. That's for aesthetics. Dear. Not everyone appreciates tacky. But the laughs weren't with her anymore. It all boiled over on a humid evening when the kids from down the street were splashing in a public sprinkler, innocent fun. But Brenda had other plans. She marched to my gate with Bob and Susan in tow. A crowd gathering like moths to drama. Open up. Alex. The board demands inspection, you're hoarding sublight, she bellowed, pounding the latch. Phones were out. Liv streaming her tirade. This pool's community property now, think of the children you're depriving. I emerged calm, folder in hand. Depriving? Or protecting what's mine? That's when she dialed 911. Voice hysterical, officer. We've got a hostile resident denying access to shared amenities. He's dangerous, rumors of illegal activity. Sirens wailed soon after. Lights pulsing across the cul-de-sac. Neighbors clustered, murmuring. Brenda pointed triumphantly as two cops approached. Arrest him. He's flouting order. Her face was a mask of righteous fury, eyes bulging with that mix of confidence and mania. The officers listened to her rant, then turned to me. I handed over the deed. Yellowed but ironclad. This predates the HOA, exempt. One cop scanned it, nodding. Brenda spluttered. But our bylaws. Then I pulled the USB drive. And here's footage, her sending goons to trespass. Fake fines. Slander online. The cops plugged it into a tablet, her voice echoed from clips, snarling threats. Manipulating crowds. Her smugness shattered into shock. Mouth gaping like a fish on land. This is entrapment, she shrieked. But the officers weren't buying. My lawyer pulled up right then. Sleek SUV gleaming. Stepping out with a briefcase full of precedents. Gentlemen. This is harassment under state law. No jurisdiction here. He dismantled her every claim with crisp efficiency, bylaws. Toothless without consent. Fines? Extortion. Rumors? Defamation. Brenda flailed. Papers scattering. You can't do this, the community needs me. But the cops warned her off. And the crowd's phones captured her meltdown in glorious detail. Laughter rippled through the watchers, dark. Satisfying chuckles at her unraveling hypocrisy. By dawn, the videos went viral. HOA Karen loses it over private pool racked up views. Comments roasting her for the greater good nonsense. The board distanced themselves. Bob muttering excuses. Susan avoiding eyes. I sued for harassment. The courtroom a sterile arena where Brenda's bluster met cold facts. The judge ruled in my favor, damages. Fees. The works. Abuse of power as consequences, he intoned. Brenda sat deflated. Her pearls askew. Face pale as her authority evaporated. She resigned quietly. A memo slipped into boxes like a white flag. The neighborhood exhaled, lawns grew a bit wilder. Parties louder. Without her shadow. I fixed up the pool. Dove in under the stars. Gramps' legacy intact. Whispers about me faded, now they nodded respect. But the cameras stayed. Silent guardians. Was Alex the real villain for hoarding his family's treasure? Or was Brenda's community-first crusade the true crime? True or false? Drop your take below. And let's debate who really deserved the splash.